And suddenly there I was, seated in a professional baseball clubhouse with 60 uniformed players, all seated, all looking at me. And these just weren't any players. They're in their white pennies, and across their chest it said Twins. Might not mean much to you, but I grew up in Minnesota. I love the Twins to this day. I grew up pretending I was Rod Carew, pretending I was Harmon Killebrew. My first major league game was at Metropolitan Stadium. Oh my gosh, look at this, and the Twins. It says Twin. And now I'm sitting there with them all looking at me. Dream come true. It's like I didn't even know I had that dream. I wanted to be in professional baseball, but I wanted to be as a player first. But then as a sports psychology guy, mental performance coach. And then I went on to work with the Texas Rangers for a couple of years. And then I worked with the New York Yankees for a year full time. And so in this video, I'm going to share how I did that. How did I get there? And more importantly, what can you do to make that dream come true for you? If that's your dream, you're working in major leagues, professional, college, high school, and baseball or softball. I've just fallen in love with softball the last several years. I work with a very high-end college team and a national team now, gunning for the Olympics. And so I want to share how I did that. First with my story, because I find that if you hear a story, it's like, okay, obviously you're not going to do exactly what I did, but you might hear some things in there. It's like, oh, I see, you did that. Here's my kind of equivalent of that. There's lots of different ways, and here's one way. So hearing ways to get there can free your mind to say, I can get there. And you then ultimately find your way. No matter what I say, you're going to find your own way. And then secondly, I'm going to give you the principles that I think made the biggest difference for me living these dreams come true. So I had these two dreams. I want to work as a college professor, head baseball coach, and I want to work in Major League Baseball full time. Did them both. Now I work primarily with professional players through their agents. I meet them through their agents. That way it's just me and the player rather than being tied in with the whole organization. Whatever your dream is, hopefully the principles that I'll give you here are useful. But first, so my story. So we're going to go low tech here. We've hit the AI pretty hard lately, and I just wanted to have some fun and go low tech. So as a kid, I was bigger, faster, stronger than everyone. So I fell in love with sports because I was good at it without even having to try. But then I hit the basement meaning psycho-emotionally. So my junior year of high school, I suddenly didn't play. I'm sitting there on the bench when I think I'm great and I should be playing. I'm not playing. But I took that and I bought a couple of books, got my parents to buy me a couple of books, a Charlie Lau hitting book and a Ted Williams hitting book. If you know you're hitting, it's pretty two different approaches, but I was able to work with it. And I went to the basement and swung the bat. A lot like Ted Williams. Swung the bat, took a big chunk out of the pool, dad's pool table, but it's like, got my reps in and got out of there and came out and set a record, had a record setting senior season. Then comes my major moment. And it was a major moment in my life while I was trying to figure out my major. What do I love? I'm at Luther College. I'm a sophomore, no idea what I want to major in. It's like, what do you love, Tom? Sports. Well, okay, what's something real that you really could do? It's like, okay, well, I like my psychology course, so I'll go into that. And then 2 weeks later, I'm in a bookstore and I see this. What? Sports psyching. Sports psyching. Yeah, it's like my Reese's peanut butter cup. It's like, you got chocolate on my peanut butter. You got sports on my psychology. You got psychology on my sports. I've really been it ever since I saw that book. Sometimes people talk that way about Heads Up Baseball, which I'll get to in a moment. But for me, is that book. Oh my gosh, there's a field. So I wrote letters, hand wrote letters to find out about things. And I ended up at the University of Illinois, get my master's degree with two dreams. Dream number one, be a small college professor and head baseball coach. Boom. I ended up doing that at Skidmore College, Saratoga Springs, New York. I might come to that story in a minute, how that came. My second dream, full-time Major League Baseball. Boom, got that too. So now I work primarily with minor league or with individual players through their agents. But I'm doing what I really love to do, and I've hit the dreams that I've really wanted to set out for myself. I have some new ones now. In fact, one of the things that I love, I'll get to it at the end, is coaching mental performance coaches. So now I have a certification program for coaching the mental game, particularly of baseball and softball, taking what I've done for 40 years, created a beautiful, well, in my opinion, a beautiful system that, here's how you do that. And so if that's of interest, find a way to contact me and I'd be happy to talk with you about it. But now, what are the principles? As I made that journey, I didn't know exactly how it was going to go. I always did the next best thing, but I did have those dreams that I went after. So 7 principles that I have, and I think, number 7, I would say is the most important. First one, be good. I was good. I got good grades. I learned to write. Big, important skill for me. I didn't know it at the time, but I learned to be a good writer. And also, though, from a character standpoint, be a good person. Because the second principle comes into play, then it's relationships. Life is a relationship game. You do all these things and have all the certain accomplishments, but it's relationships that end up making the difference. I alluded earlier I got the Skidmore College teaching job because my grade school PE teacher liked me. We had a good relationship. I was a good person. I saw him when I was in grad school. He had gone on to grad school and he was a professor, and he later said, my best friend needs a job, needs a baseball coach who can teach sports psychology. I was the only person they interviewed because it was so dialed in. Why? Because I was a good guy, and my PE teacher remembered me and liked me when I ran into him later. Ken Revizza, I wrote him a thank you note when I met him when I was at the University of Illinois. He sees me at the Ask Sports Psych conference and pulls me aside and said, "You're Tom Hansen, right? You wrote me a thank you note for answering your question. Nobody does that." I said, what's up with that? And this is Ken. And that's how we got to Heads Up Baseball. That's how that came about. Is I was a good guy. I thanked him. I wrote him a thank you note. We built a relationship, and we wrote Heads Up Baseball. It's life-changing, not only for me, but for actually quite a few people. Heads Up Baseball's had a pretty big impact on the game. I went on to also write Play Big, which is me coaching me, and Ken and I wrote Heads Up Baseball 2.0 as well. And so it's a relationship that came out of a relationship. Like, I was a good guy, and I formed good relationships. I mean, how did I get into the University of Virginia? Well, the relationship with my advisor, and then Bob Rutella, top guy, wanted to be with the best. How do I get with the best? Well, relationship. Yeah, good grades, but I mean, I had 1,060 GPA. It's not like I'm really smart. I was like a B+ waiting to happen. I just did these things, and it's worked out. A similar theme, all these really run together. The best. I wanted to be the best. I wanted to be with the best. So the principle here is get with the best people you can possibly be with. Speaking of the best, I interviewed Hank Aaron, the best. And I interviewed for my Pete Rose, Rod Carew. There's Stan Musial in me. Who's this? Oh, that's my parents. My parents and I when I was with the Rangers. Being with the best. Get with the best people you can be around, because it's easier. It's kind of obvious. My mom said, I don't care. When I was growing up, it's like, well, whatever it is, if you can see the best at something, go see the best. Even if you're not interested in that thing, you want to see the best. What does the best do? How do the best do it? You won't do it exactly like that, but it's huge. Similar theme, follow your bliss. This wording from Joseph Campbell comes out like, what do you love? As I mentioned, I was in love with sports psychology from the time I saw the book Sports Psyching. Oh my gosh, I love that. It's like I asked my professors, well, can I go into sports psychology? It's like, what do you mean? No idea. Hadn't heard of it. I had to do research without the internet. And as I said, I physically wrote letters and then I physically got letters back from schools. And that's how I ended up at the University of Illinois for that. And I would say that having a dream, it's like, oh, I love this. And then, yes, and then have dreams. I mentioned the two that I had. What do you want to have happen? That to me is the magic question. I ask it to athletes, I'd ask it to you. What would you love to have happen? Well, set a dream and let's go. Talking with Bob Rotella, I mean, he's worked with over 70 majors winners in the golf, not just tournament winners, majors. You sit down with him and he would say, oh, okay, what's the dream? What would you love to have happen? And it's an obvious question when you hear it, but it just often isn't played there. And as I work with athletes and the people from my course work with athletes, say, what's your dream? You get some vague answer. And then we coach you on how to dial that in much clearer. Because I talk about the law of clear targets, that the more clearly you see a target, the more likely you are to hit it. I had 2 clear targets, hit them both. And I've had other ones since, but in the mental performance domain, that's that. So next one, clarify your thinking. When I was a professor, I would assign people to write papers, and I'm sure you've had to do that. Why? Why do you do that? Well, writing a paper clarifies your thinking. You know what clarified my thinking? Writing my dissertation, and then this thing, mental aspects of hitting, and then writing Heads Up Baseball. You look at, say, this signal light, the traffic light thing, there's a good chance that you've come across that. Well, when Ken and I started writing Heads Up Baseball, we didn't have a signal light. We were working on an awareness chapter, which we don't even have really an awareness chapter. Well, in Heads Up Baseball 2 we do. But this was for Heads Up Baseball 1, and we were in Redondo Beach going to lunch, and we were stopped at a signal light. We were talking about awareness, and I said, Ken, awareness is like a signal light, that when you're feeling good, it's like a green light and yellow light, blah, and off you go. So that process of coming up with like how it's the best way to say that has been invaluable to me to now have a system. Like I mentioned, this course, I've worked the last year toward creating a system that I can teach people to follow, because I realized my system was, well, you ask the athlete something and whatever they say, then you use your 40 years of experience to answer it. Well, okay, great. That's not very helpful to most people. So how do you come up with a system? Well, it was through clarifying my thinking. So the principle for you would be like, okay, what do I think is important? If I were going to write a book, or maybe write a book, how do I put this in what is the best way to do this? Clarify your thinking. You become much more powerful in your speaking. So clarifying your thinking. And the last one, that was actually number 6. Number 7, the big one, be your number one client. Being your number one client here, I mean, you have to embody what you're talking about. My performance, my business, my work has gone up and down over the years as I look back, to the degree that I am working on what I am talking about. I'm applying it myself. One of my blessings has been my conceptual ability. I'm a thinker. I think. I've come from my dad has a PhD. My brother has a PhD from Princeton. My other brother's smarter than both of us. But the key is to get this clarity on, yes, you're thinking, but then you have to embody it. So I was prone to having ideas and putting them together even on paper, but not having it in my body. Having it in your body. The big shift for me was going from I wanted to know something so that I could teach it, to I wanted to be it so I could share it. from knowing it so I could teach it to being it so I could share it. That's it. So anything that you learn this. I used to think, oh, I could use this to help athletes. Well, it's like, use it to help me. So my tools are inside me, not hanging in some toolbox next to me. Have them be in your body. So those are 7 principles that I have followed. It's really kind of some current themes. You could even shorten it to less than 7, right? What did you get out of it? What landed for you in that? And now you can imagine yourself working in professional baseball or whatever your dream is. Let's finish with imagining that's happening. You're there. See what you see, hear what you hear, and feel what you feel. That's right. Go there and now come back. And who knows the path that you took. But if you get that clarity in your mind, you have your dream, you're following your bliss, you're embodying what you're talking about. You're building great relationships. You're being a good person. I can't guarantee it, of course, but I can guarantee that you can end up with what John Wooden talked about, satisfaction of knowing that you did your absolute best. But I know you can do it. So like I said, if you are interested in having me coach you through my system for working primarily in baseball and softball, but the principles go across the board in other sports as well, there'll be a link down below where you can get in touch with me, drtomhansen.com. Just go there, check it out. One way forward, the easiest. Ultimately, we're going to have to jump on the phone or the Zoom call. That's the prime. It's like, am I qualified? Well, the prime qualification is to pass the interview, the conversation that we do. Do I think you're a good fit? And then, of course, if you're a good fit for the program, we'll have a goodness of fit conversation. So that's that. My story, some principles. Hopefully it helped. Let me know. Love to hear from you. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer because I want you out there playing big.